Everything is changing. We're entering one of the most important financial windows of our lifetime. It's part of a repeating 18.6-year economic cycle that has predicted every major boom and every major crash over the past 200 years. And if you've seen the movie The Big Short, you already know the pattern. Chaos for some creates opportunity for others, but only if you're prepared. That's why we believe trading isn't just about making money, it's about gaining the skill sets to thrive in uncertain times. If you're brand new to trading, or maybe you've tried it before but struggled to win consistently, then TrendForce was built for you. I'm Ty, and I co-founded TrendForce with my dad. But he's not just my dad, he's a bit of a legend, and he's pretty good with numbers. As well as serving as a pastor for the last 30 years, he's been a maths teacher, an accountant, lectured economics at MIT, and he even did computer programming in the South African Army. So when we say we've built a smarter trading system, we're not just throwing around buzzwords. My dad personally wrote over 2,000 lines of code to create our custom-built trading indicators, and they are tools you will not find anywhere else. They take the guesswork out of trading and give you a mechanical edge that is clear, structured, and simple to follow. And TrendForce is more than just a strategy. It's a community and a fully dialed-in system created to give traders clarity with data-driven buy and sell signals, customizable tools, 3 simple rules, and daily community support, all built to help you trade with confidence and without emotional chaos. Over the past few years, we've been traveling all over the world, not just for fun, but to grow. Because we're not just trading, we're learning location-neutral skills to transform our lives. I used to be an electrician grinding away on the tools, but I knew there had to be more for our family. And there's more for you as well. My wife and I invested tens of thousands of dollars into personal development, coaching, mentorship, and trading conferences. I even had the chance to speak in front of 7,000 people in Croatia. And amazing as that journey has been, I saw how overcomplicated this industry really is. That's why we created TrendForce. If you're just getting started, we've made it simple to begin the right way. Our free day trading basics course gives you everything you need to know to start your learning journey with clarity, no hype, no guesswork. And if you've already been in the game for a while and you're tired of inconsistent results and flying solo, then watch our full TrendForce system demo. You'll see exactly how our tools work and how we use them to trade smart every single day. We believe financial freedom isn't just a dream, it's a skill. With the right tools, the right strategy, and the right support, anyone willing to learn can trade smarter and build a future on their own terms. If you have any questions, reach out to me on social media. This is your time to grow your financial skill set and start trading smarter with TrendForce. We'll see you on the inside. Right, good evening everybody. Let me just double check a few things. We're all good here. Are you good? You with me? Tonight is the night. Today's the day. Welcome guys. This is the launch of TrendForce. I know we've got a stack of our community that have been tracking with us for quite a while already on here and a whack ton of guests. So if you're a guest with us this evening, if we don't know each other, I just want to say a huge welcome. My name is Ty. I'm based here in Auckland, New Zealand. Originally from South Africa, spent some time in America. So if I've got a bit of a different accent, that's why. But tonight is a historic night, guys. You know, I used to be an electrician, like you just saw in that video, grinding away on tools, trying to figure out what was what. Went overseas for a few years to really do as much personal development as I could. My wife and I went over there knowing that there was more. And so if anything, guys, if you want to know anything about me, my heart just burns for freedom. And so if I don't believe God's highest plan for creation, you and I, was to grind in modern day slavery for a crazy amount of hours while we pay someone else to raise our kids. And so if you're keen for more freedom in your life, drop freedom in the chat. So I know that some of you are actually actively participating here tonight. But that's what we're about, guys. We are here to experience more freedom, create more freedom. And it's not just about making money. If anything, it's just getting smarter with the way we handle our time and our money so that we can step into the space of leverage and start being able to actually take advantage of what's at hand for all of us. And at the same time, preparing ourselves for what I believe is some shaky ground economically speaking. Aside from wars and crashes and things, it is a little bit of an unsure time of life considering all the things that are going on in the world. But I'm going to jump into sharing a couple quick slides and then I'm going to welcome Dad on very, very soon to share some nuts and bolts as well. So good to see so many names of you on here and faces. Zeph, I can see your face, bro. Let me screen share and let's hop into the rest of this. And so as you saw there, guys, you know that movie that I referenced being The Big Short, the one on the left there? If you haven't seen that, go and see it because a lot of what we're sharing tonight is a zoomed in practical version of what those guys do on Wall Street in a big way. But a lot of us don't realize that we can actually do this from our cell phones. You don't even need fancy big monitors and screens and multiple things. There are people in our community crushing it just from their phones. And so The Big Short was a massive, theatrical drama of the big crash, right? The global financial crisis, the GFC, which took place, 2007, 2008. I don't know about you, but I got made redundant in 2009 as a Sparky, as the flow-on effect happened here. And Inside Job, that's a documentary version narrated by Matt Damon. If you haven't seen these movies, go watch them. They will open your mind to the messed up financial world of the players that pull the big strings and how you and I have to, pick up the pieces when it all falls to bits. And so there's another slide I want to show you right now, which I showed in that video a moment ago. But if you haven't heard about this 18.6 year cycle, it is incredibly accurate and insanely just mind-blowing when you start to learn about this. If you want to learn more about where this comes from, you can go to this website, realestate.propertysharemarketeconomics.com. You can see on that site a whole lot more data, a whole lot more articles on how long they have been tracking the cycle for. 18.6 years. Why the 0.6? Well, it actually follows a lunar cycle. And so recently, you probably noticed we actually had a weird thing, a strawberry moon. And so, depending on where we are on the cycle, the way the cycle follows is 7 years up, mini reset in the middle. That was COVID most recently. Another 7 years up, and then a 4-year reset. And so, 18 odd years ago, we were sitting around 2007. I believe this red circle is somewhere where we are right now. I don't believe the top is in, but I believe it's coming. And then we're in for a reset, guys. Potential 4 years worth of things resetting themselves. And so what happens when markets are going down? Well, a lot of us might have investments. We might have property. You might own stocks, Bitcoin, whatever it might be. If you're just holding and holding and holding, well, there's opportunities with the tools at hand to know when to get off that bus and maybe wait for a giant pullback and a better re-entry at lower prices. The reason why rich people get richer is because they have money to invest when things are cheap. So I encourage you, pay attention to that 18.6 year cycle, loads of info on the internet about it. But guys, we're here to learn how to take advantage even when markets are crashing, because you can invest and make money on the way up, but your investments are not making you money on the way down. And so that's why we are here to learn how to actually trade. And if you don't know, I'm sure you recognize this gentleman, but Einstein said, and this is really the powerful point of trading, is that compound interest, compounding your money through trading, is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. And so most of us probably understand paying it through car payments and mortgages and credit cards. But how much better would it be to flip the script and actually start earning money from compounding your money on the charts? And so we're going to show you what that looks like tonight. We're going to move at the pace of family. I know some people on here are very experienced and some have maybe never seen a chart before. So we want to make sure that we're moving at an okay pace. But guys, what does that even look like? What does compounding look like? Well, I'm going to show you, Danny's part of our team, and I just made these slides earlier, but we've been on the phone a lot in the last week because things have been shifting for him. We met just over 2 years ago, and, shout out to him and his family. They got an amazing Airbnb on the lake down in Rotorua. Highly recommend going and hiring that out. But, his story was he started learning with us in the past with some previous things and previous strategies that weren't ours. But in a nutshell, he went 50% down in his first 18 months. But then more recently, since locking in and really dialing in and things started to really click for him, managed to turn 4K into over 13 in the last 6 weeks. This is quite recent. And TrendForce was the thing that did it all for him. We'll get more of his story on tap for everyone in the near future. But, this guy has done amazing. He's locked in, learned how it works, and he's applied it, and he has started to compound. So I'm going to unshare my screen and show you what the heck I mean by compounding. And so I've got one more. So I'm going to jump back in there and go to TradingView. TradingView.com, free website that anybody can go to and create an account and look at the price of anything. So this is gold right here. A lot of us trade gold, the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, or the US 30, which is the Dow Jones. You can come in here and look at anything, but just so that we're moving at the right pace. Some of you may have never seen a chart before. So right now, I'm clicking on D for daily, which means every single one of these red and green candles that you can see take a full day to show us the information. So you can see 12 hours and 48 minutes left in today, which is a squashed little doji. Price has gone up a bit and down a bit. But you can see on other days, if we have a green candle, it means that price opened low and closed high at the end of the day. So the price of gold went up on Wednesday the 16th, went a little bit sideways and down on Thursday, up again on Friday, and this is the 21st of April, and you can see how price goes up and down, but we can zoom in, and you're going to see a similar pattern right now when I start zooming in. So if I click 4 hour, now you're going to see how every candle represents 4 hours, and so same pattern, but a bit more zoomed in and a bit more information. But how would you know if price is about to go up or down, and how would you even be able to take advantage of it? Well, if we zoom out to a weekly, you're going to see the trend of gold is up, right? I mean, mega up since, let's go back to, where are we? Since, October 2022, not even 3 years ago, the price of gold is up, what is that, 108%? So, doubling from 1,600-ish an ounce to now almost $4,000. Well, where are we? No, sorry, 3,400, 3,300. And so the price of gold is going up. But what if we're able to come in here and instead of just buying and holding gold, we can get on a 1 minute chart and go, you know what? Price has actually been going down quite a lot since earlier today. Now, what if there was a way to make money when things were going down? And aside from just drawing some lines and praying that our line was in the right place, we were able to use something smart. And then I'm going to show you something here. This is a long position tool. This just draws and represents our risk. So that would be a buy opportunity. Potentially, I'm just drawing these hypothetically so I can show you what it looks like to risk and reward. And a short. So what if, excuse me, what if there we were able to take advantage of price going down? Sorry, guys, I had the flu 2 weeks ago and it was brutal. Hope none of you have had it, but voice is still recovering. But just to show what I mean by, when price goes up, this red box here represents our risk. And so we're risking never hopefully more than 1 to 2% of our counts. But when price goes up, you can see there's a 4.29. That means we've risked 1 and we've made 4.29 that risk to reward. Same on the way down. We could enter a sell position risking 1% of our account, and we'll teach you exactly how to do this. But then at the same time, when price goes down, we can make money when things go down. And so I don't want to get lost in the weeds, but this is a 1 minute chart, meaning each one of these candles takes 1 minute to print. And so you can come in here and in the space of, sometimes seconds to minutes, sometimes you're watching paint dry for an hour or two, if I'm honest. It's never as quick as you want it to be, but we're paid to wait. That is the skill of trading. So I'm going to unshare my screen. No, one last thing, compound calculator. So I showed you what Danny's story was. Whoop, too early to show you that. We'll get there later. And so his account there was, he started, he grew from 4 grand and went higher, 1% a day, over the last 2 months. Is 1% a day realistic? Well, for him, he was probably cranking out about 2.5%. So yeah, he ended up getting to, let's see if I can get this math right. He got to 13. Yeah, so even a little bit more, probably something like that. So he has been busting out about 2.8% a day, 5 days a week. I've ticked off the weekends for the last 2 months to grow his account that way. And so you can see how that's someone in our community realistically. If you're on, I never like to promise anyone 2.8%. I'd like to say, 1% is more of a realistic thing, and think more like a year. So across a year, what's possible for you? Well, here across a year, if you were to take 400, make 1% a day, 5 days a week. And obviously, guys, this doesn't equate for making any losses, which you will do. But I'm saying, on average, if you've got a good win rate and you're actually following a set of rules, like you saw one of those slides, Amanda has had an 85% win rate, then you're going to be winning more than you're losing. And that's not going to be the story of your first few weeks and months and maybe even a year. This is a long-term journey. But over time, if you're compounding, depending on what you're starting with, will have a radical determining factor on where you end with. And as you can see there across a year, if you're making that 1%, you're able to, get to some significant levels. So you can go to the compound interest calculator and mess around, but that is what we're doing. We are compounding our money through trading. And so whether you are risking starting with a small account, starting with a large account, honestly, anything that matters in the beginning is starting with a fake account, which means you are practicing with fake money in real markets so that you can learn a strategy, learn a set of rules, learn when to get in, learn when to get out, and you're not playing with real money and burning it like initially a lot of people do. They start with real money too soon. And my encouragement to anyone, start with fake money, document your journey, and then know that you're ready to make that transition to live months. So anyway, enough waffling from me. Tonight, we want to show you the tool and the scanner and the strategy that my dad has developed over the last few years for us, that our community has already been mostly using since about November when we launched this privately to a group that we've been working with for the last few years, people that have already been trading for a while. And a couple months ago, we had a growing wait list, so we let in a few newbies that had never been trading before because we've got some content to help them. But tonight, our website is live. We're ready to open the doors and let whoever in who wants to learn and join our community. So guys, I need you to join me and give my dad a huge welcome tonight, because none of us would be here without him. You probably saw in that video, he's got quite a brain on his shoulders, besides from being a pastor for the last 30 years and really going all in on helping people grow in their spiritual walk with God. He was a math teacher. He was an accountant. He did lecture economics at MIT. And I believe God's given him a brain that understands numbers at an incredible level. So when he got started here, he started learning and just realized he needed something else that suited him. So he dived in, figured out how to code, and I'll let him share a little bit of his story, but it's been an amazing journey to be a part of. And so, Dad, I'm going to find you in an absolutely stacked chat of attendance. There's your name, pin you to the screen. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. I can see you there. And guys, drop some love and appreciation in the chat for Dad, AKA Tim Stevenson. Dad, over to you.
Thanks, Ty. So kind. You always say such nice words. Firstly, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So excited to have you all with us. I know we've got some experienced traders, some beginners. So we'll warn you in advance that it may sound like I'm speaking a foreign language at first. So there will be some terms, but don't worry, eventually it becomes kind of part of your subconscious. So if it's your first time exposed to trading, don't get too lost in the terminology. Eventually it will become natural. But this has been such a great journey, especially working with Ty. I often say to him, whoever thought we'd end up working together on something like this? It was so out of my skill set, out of my thoughts, ideas, and plans. But I honestly feel that God has led us along this way, So initially, I was not interested at all. It was during COVID, Ty got into some of this, and I was just trying to survive and get our church to survive. And my wife ended up signing me up, and she would go and chat with Ty, and they would talk and have a lot of fun. And I just wasn't interested. But one day I walked into, we were staying at the cottage at the back of their property at that time. But one day I walked in and he had the charts on. And when I saw the charts, something came alive. I thought, actually, I can do this. So it was Tom into my background is numbers, figures, I've lectured even statistics, which is about means, averages, charts, probabilities. And so I thought, I'd give it a go. But of course, I thought I'd be a pro trader based on my qualifications. But I tell you what, it's not as easy as what I thought. I made all the mistakes that novice traders make. I've risked too much. I went to a live account too soon. And I often say this, people would regard me as very patient and very disciplined until I started trading. Then I realized how much I had to grow. And you'll learn that if you get into trading, that it ends up being more psychological and analytical. Initially, is analytical and it stays analytical, but then psychologically, it really comes into play. But I honestly felt I got a revelation. I felt God say to me one day, He'd teach me how to trade. And so, as Tom mentioned, I started, just learning to program. I hadn't done programming for 40 years. So I last did programming for 2 years in 1984 and 1985. A lot of people on the feed here tonight probably weren't even alive then. But I learned slowly. At first, I tried to find help, I haven't told anyone this, but I would get onto YouTube and I found people in India that were teaching how to code with the code, which is called Pan scripts, and it was all in Hindi. But I'll just take screenshots of what they were trying to teach and figure it out, and that's how I started. And eventually, I picked it up and got some momentum. And so the problem is with trading is that there's this principle in trading, and this is what motivated me, and that there's this rule in trading that says 90% of people lose 90% of their money in 90 days. And for me, I did that. I lost when I started like 3 years ago. I just started losing, and I couldn't understand why I was losing. And then I realized, as I've got more experience, that the main reason why 90% of people lose 90% of their money in 90 days is firstly, they don't have an indicator that works, or they look on YouTube, which is all about rubbish. There's mostly rubbish on YouTube. I tried that. It looks easy, but they just pick the right conditions to show what works, but it doesn't really work. So they don't have a good indicator. They don't have a strategy. They also don't have any ongoing education. They don't have any community. They don't have any capital management or risk management, and also no self-development, no patience, and no discipline. And so on this journey, I've realized that emotion is a key reason why traders will either succeed or fail. And so what we've tried to build with TrendForce, what we are building, is to address the reasons. So those 6 things why most traders fail is the reason why we've been developing TrendForce. And so really we've our heart, and I think we're getting there, is that we wanted to develop a mechanical trading strategy. And that's a real key, because if a strategy is not mechanical, it's going to be emotional. And you get lured in by all the traps. You learn what big foreign objects are. You'll get pulled into stop hunts, all those things. Now, some of you won't know about that yet. So if you have a mechanical strategy, you won't get lured into the things that cause people to lose money. So I've been intentional about developing a mechanical trading strategy. And the key with mechanical is rules. So we have very strict rules, only 3 rules. So our rules are very, very easy. So with patience and discipline, you apply the rules, I believe you will be successful. So, it's taken us a long time, 18 months. I've probably spent thousands of hours, developing the software. And also we're constantly developing. That's the good thing about what we're doing with TrendForce. We don't rest on laurels. We got something that's working. People are making good money. but we're constantly developing and making it better. I mean, I'm already testing. I'm trading with version 4 already on the main indicator, and version 3 on the MACD. I've already made good changes. I mean, still weeks away. When I make changes, I love to test them and test their profitability. But I want to say we're constantly developing to make our indicator, our strategy better, and to make us all more profitable. And that really is my heart, is that, I mean, I've been really blessed. I don't need to work. I don't need to trade. And I've said this honestly from my heart. I'm more passionate about seeing other people earn money than anything else. So my motivation is not to get rich, but it's actually to help others get into financial freedom and get out of the rat race. And you can do that. I mean, just Saturday morning, just one trade. I mean, I made a whack load of money, 6 minutes. I made more money than most people spend 3 days working for. And so the possibilities, the potential is massive if you go through the process. And that's what I want to say before I get too practical, that trading is a journey. You're not going to learn it overnight. I mean, would you go, if you went, say you need an operation, you wouldn't go to a surgeon who'd only been out of school 1 year and had read a few books. You'd want someone to be experienced. And that's what it does take. So I like to say that trading, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's what we've realized. It takes slow in the beginning, but eventually, suddenly things will click. You hear that people were losing, they're going sideways, they weren't going anywhere, then suddenly something clicks. So if you persevere, and you apply the rules and you grow in patience and discipline, I believe everyone can be a successful trader. It doesn't depend on qualifications. What I've read and researched is that, accountants, lawyers, doctors, those people make the worst traders, but it's everyday person who's prepared to, really put effort, time, practice. Those are the ones that become successful. So I want to now just turn on my screen. If I can, can I press share? And hopefully my screen will come out. And by a good coincidence, let's just see if I got the right button there. There we go. Ty had the same, I was also on 1 minute on gold. So we're on the same page. I use different indices when I teach and train. And so I'm going to go, very slowly through this. So for those who are more experienced, I hope you don't get too bored. But we've called this indicator TrendForce because obviously the key is we want to trade with trend. And so everything is about trend. So, and also because I'm passionate about maths, when I heard about Fibonacci, I mean, to me, that was a real turn on because this whole indicator is based on Fibonacci numbers. And so you don't need to know much about maths, but basically all the big banks, the big trading institutions, they use things called algorithms. They're called also algo traders. And so they use Fibonacci numbers for all their trades they place. And so that's part of our strategy is that I've used Fibonacci numbers with all our moving averages, almost every calculation. I've always used Fibonacci numbers to give us the edge. And so if we look at the basic, I'm going to sort of work through this indicator, then add little bits on as we go. But firstly, so what we're looking at, I already showed you the candles, and you can see that basically, the market moves in waves. I used to be a surfer, up, down, and then there's some bigger downs, smaller ups. And so we want to try and catch the waves. And so at the basic part of our strategies, we got something called our main trading trend zone. So you can see, if we look at price, we've got these are moving averages. We've got a white one, which is very important to our strategy. Talk about that later. Then there's one that changes color, and there's a lot of color change. You'll see on the side of color. Even what you see tonight, it may look bright, but I tell you what, Tyron has dimmed me down with his wisdom because it was a little bit like a Christmas tree, and we're trying to get rid of the Christmas tree more and more. But you can see basically you only take sells when our trading trend zone is red. So our trend zone is this. This is the red color, although it's probably called Shiraz is the correct color. Maybe that's made people thirsty suddenly. So when price crosses over, that's what we call a bearish crossover. When price moves down, we can see a trading trend zone develop. So this is on the 1 minute. So we can see it's blue when price is moving up, red when price is moving down. So we can see here these blue bursts. That means price is moving up, red, price is moving down. So we call that our main trading trend zone. But if you just looked at that, you thought, well, how difficult can trading be? I'm just going to press sell every time it starts getting red, and I'm going to press buy every time it starts changing to blue. Well, look, if you tried that over there, you'd lose money. If you tried over there, you'd also lose money. You can't just press random buttons. There has to be more in an indicator to help people make wise decisions. The whole point is we want to be able to educate and train people to take what we call low risk, high probability trades. And so we like to trade with trend. And so we use things called moving averages. Now, if you're new tonight, don't get too stuck up, but this is a 21, which means after 21 minutes, that's what price is doing. But the main indicator we use to determine what trend we're in is something based on the 15 minutes. So if I click this, it's a moving average, and we call it the 233, which is a fib number, but this is equivalent to what's happening on the 15 minute. And so we always want to trade with trend. So we only take sells if the 15 minute is red. And likewise, we'll only take buys if the 15 minute is green. So we have a number of trend zones to help us trade with trend. And so if I just open another little panel here. So here is let's just go to this is our 1 minute. So if I change this screen to a 15 minute, just a click of the button, and we just had a look. Let's see where we are this afternoon. Where are we? So let's just go back to this bigger move. When was this move here? This was at 2:15 this morning. It'll be easy if we go to a bigger move. So if we look at the 1 minute at 2:15 this morning, we can see what's happened. Here we go. So if we go to the 1 minute, and we see this is the 1 minute, this is the 1 minute, and this is the 15. And so we've got this trend zone telling us that the market is in a downtrend. We should only take sells. So if I ran my mouse along this 233, which is equivalent to the 15 minute, if you look at the crosshairs on the right-hand side, you can see that those crosshairs are going straight down the middle of the 15-minute trend zone. And so the 15 minute is a very good, accurate measure of trend. So again, we only take buy signals if we're above and sell signals if we're below. So if we just added, now we've got a buy signal, obviously in a sell signal, which makes it easier. If I turn on the buy and sell signal, now don't get too worried about all the information here. You get used to it. If we clicked on buy and sell signals, we can see that this indicator tells you when to sell. So for example, here, there was a sell signal this afternoon at 1:38. And that was massive. That trade, I think, was about 200 pips, over 270 pips that dropped, that's just the pip time mentioned, a unit of measurement. And so you can see we'll only get sell signals when price is below the 233. So whenever it's red, we'll get sell signals. Likewise, if we just go back, let's just see, if we go back, and we'll have to go back quite far to when it was an up market. So I'm just going all the way back. Let's just see, where's the buy signal? Here we go. So we can see here, price broke above the 50-minute trend zone. It was green, which means we're in an uptrend. And that means there we could take a buy signal. And that was a nice trade. That's basically 70 pips on that trade. So we only get buy signals above and we get sell signals below. So that determines trading with trend. And that's the real key, that you'll only be successful if you look at trend. So everything about this indicator is all about trend. So if let's just go and add a little bit more now. So that is one of our main trend zone. That determines our buy or our sell. And I'm slowly going to build it up. We're just doing the basics tonight. Then the next one, we call it the 987. That is equivalent to what's happening on the 1 hour. So we can see at this point, the 233, this 15 minute is red, which means we're in a downtrend. We can see also this purple color is also in a downtrend. And so that would make taking a sell what's called a high probability trade. Again, if I just change this on the right here, if I change that to 1 hour, we go to the 1 hour now, and let's just move that across. We can see what's happening here. We can see if we now put the mouse, put my crosshairs, where does it end? Let's just start over here. If I put the crosshairs on the 1 hour trend, the 987, you can see on the right, those crosshairs are right in the middle. So tracking back nicely, and that tells us that the 1 hour is down. And so we really try to make this as easy as possible to read the market. You know, there's a saying in trading that the trend is your friend. But then we even look high. So we've got a 15-minute moving average, a 1 hour. Then we've also got a 4-hour. So this is this teal color. And we can see that this is what's happening on the 4-hour. And so when they line up, the best trades is when they line up correctly, you'll see big moves in the market. So those are our main trend zones and how signals are created. But then we also have another moving average. I want to show you some of the secret sauce. And that is, this one, it's the EMA based on the 55. I'm going to turn it on. And this one's unusual because it's got 4 colors. So our main EMA, the 50-minute, the 233, it's that 2 colors. This has got 4. And this is to give us confidence in entering trades. So we'll look at an example. So this is the equivalent to what's happening on the 3-minute. So if we, let's just go across here. So if we just looked at a 3-minute chart, so let's just change this other chart to 3 minutes. And we'll see the market is ranging at the moment. So let's just go back to when there's a bit of a move here. So if we go back to this move here, so this 55 EMA, if you follow on the right, if we follow this EMA down, we can see the crosshairs are going right through the middle of the 3-minute trend zone. And so there's different secret sauce in this indicator. And so these 4 colors give us more confidence to enter a trade. So you'll see as soon as it goes bright green, price drops very quickly. So we can see bright green, you can enter a trade as soon as this line goes bright green. And likewise, if we see we've been in a bit of a downtrend, but you can see what happens is when the 55 goes bright green, boom, price shoots up. You can also see, by the way, here's a good example. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but this is the 1-hour trend zone. We can see how this is called price respecting this trend zone, the 987. And that's because it's a Fibonacci number, and our algo traders, all their trades are linked to these kind of numbers. So we can see price shot up, bounced off, shot up, bounced off, shot up, bounced off, shot up, again. Eventually it moved down. And so these are hugely helpful in how we trade and to give us good information about entering trades. And so again, this line is crucial. Every time it goes bright green, look here, bright green, price shoots up. Bright green, price shoots up. And when price goes sideways, it goes to dark green. It still means we're in an uptrend on the 3-minute, but the trend is weak. So we always want to be trading preferably when there's a strong trend. Like here's a little move down, again, bright green, price drops down. So there's a few handy tools that you get used to as we trade. Then another part of our indicator that I like very much is what I call, I'm just going to show you a few things, is I call it candle strength intensity. So right now we only have 2 color candles. They're either red, if we bearish going down, or green bullish going up. But in this program, I've programmed the candles to change color depending how many buyers or sellers are in the market. So in the indicator, it's called candle strength. If it's bright, it's very strong. If it's dark color, it's strong. If it's hollow, it's neutral. And so the indicator is busy loading it, and you can just see on this. You can see on this trade. Here's a good example. Right from the sell signal, we had a full color candle, and that means quite a strong trend already. When it goes bright green, price tends to fall quickly. There was a pullback there. Then again, we can see full color candle, so that means the trend is strong. Then hopefully it's clear in the zoom. Then from this candle, it went bright red, which means price dropped really quickly. And so you can actually enter a trade when the candle changes color. That to me is good enough for a signal. And we can see from when it went bright red, right down there, I mean, that fell 60 pips. That's a big trade. So you can see when the candles are hollow, the trend is weak. So here's a good example. If you look at the 1 hour, we're in a downtrend. We can see price fell. We can see full color candles, bright, full color candles. When price pulled back, we can see mostly hollow candles. So we can see price was fighting against the trend. And we've got to say, if it's hollow, don't follow. So we don't want to follow hollow candles. But these work really well. So even here we broke about the 233. Should I take this trade? Full color means strong, then bright, price shoots up. So we found that is super helpful in our strategies, having these candles change color. Here's another example. There was two hollow candles, then we had full color, then bright, bright. And so when the candles go bright, it means you can stay in the trade longer. And so that's a bit of the secret sauce to our indicator. Then there's something else we use, which is a key part, and that's something called the MACD. Now, some of you may not be familiar with this, but this is what our MACD looks like. And so when you trade on TradingView, this is called the main trading pane, where your main indicator goes. But then most traders also have something called an oscillator. And there are a number of oscillators you can use. And we've chosen the MACD as our oscillator. And it's I didn't invent this. I didn't write the software for it. I've just modified it by modifying the software to suit our strategy. But you can see how I've matched the trend zone. So you can see blue for a buy. And here, when it's blue, it means we're in buy mode. And likewise, when it's red, we're in sell mode. So this is a huge part of our rules, because we only take trades if we've got, say, a buy, if the trend zone is blue for the main trading panel, and also it's blue in the oscillator, in the MACD. And likewise, if we go to that big sell, you will see we only want to take sells when the zones match up. So this is a key part of our strategy. So we can see there's separation. We're now bearish. The EMAs are separated. We read there, and likewise we read there. So what we don't want to do is try and take sells when the MACD is the wrong color. So one of my sayings is we don't fight the MACD. So here we get a sell signal. There's separation in the main indicator, and likewise there is also separation in the MACD. This is the main trading trend zone. And so these match, and it makes it much easier to trade. So what I've put in the software, you won't get a sell signal if the main trading trend zone doesn't match the MACD. All right, so we put that in to make it safer. And so if we look, there was a great sell, and we can see, boom, price dropped. Then the other thing that we've programmed is not a normal histogram. So the MACD and the single line, this is what creates the trend zone. These two parallel lines weaving, following a similar pattern in our main indicator. But what I've done also is I've programmed the histogram. These are the bars to change color with trend. And so when they go bright red, it means the trend is strong. So right from the candle, even before the sell signal, we can see the MACD was showing us a strong trend. And so you can even enter on I spoke last week or the week before, whenever, that when something changes color, it's a good signal. So you can see there was a pullback. If you were late to the table, you weren't, and you only got on the charts on that candle, you could have entered on that candle because the histogram has gone bright red. And often for long trades, this could say red for an hour. And as long as it's red, it's often safe to stay in the trade. And so I don't want to go into too much detail there, but basically the key parts of the night is that we got our trend zone, also the MACD, that matches what's happening in the main indicator. Then just a couple of things to end. We've got the key secret source of our indicator is something called the force table. And this is amazing. So we've got this TrendForce meter table. I'm going to turn it on. I'm just going to change it to large just so it's clear. And so this was a game changer, I believe, for our trading community. So this table takes 90% of the processing power of this indicator. But this is amazing. You can also look right up to higher time frames. So you can see with the table, I'm just clicking off the 1 hour, and well, I'll put it on. You can show the 1 hour and the 4 hours. So this table, this was the biggest game changer with our strategy to make it easier. So this table is giving us a huge amount of information. So down here, the time frames. So you can see the time frames. You've got the 1 minute, the 3 minute, the 5 minute, the 8, the 15, 1 hour, 4 hour. Then it's giving you a whole lot of information about what's happening with the indicator. And so, for example, we've got 3 rules. So we're not going to explain them too much tonight, but our 3 rules are simply TAS, T-A-S. The one is the trend zones must align. So, for example, the 1 minute, that you won't get a signal unless they align on the 1 minute. But for rule number 1, a time frame 3 times higher must align. And so you can look at a chart 3 times higher, but you could also look what's happening. This indicator is telling us exactly what's happening on the 3 minute. The MACD is not only bearish, red. It's if this was, for example, applying to this trade. I mean, this is obviously, for further on. But immediately we could enter a trade if we got a 1 minute signal, because the MACD is bearish, has crossed over, and the histogram is also bright red, which means the MACD is very strong. The trend zone, that means on the 3-minute, that's also crossed over. The 21, that's the angle of the white line that is pointing up. And zone alignment means we are, for a sell, we're below all these trend zones. So that should be a strong signal. And so this table tells us everything that's happening in terms of the rules on every single time frame, which makes it very easy to trade. I like to say that 8 is my mate. And so when, for example, so this is telling us on the 5-minute, we're not below all the trend zones yet, and the 8-minute not yet, but everything else is lined up, which means we're in a strong bearish move, means price is falling. I mean, sometimes the whole table will go red, and then only take sell. So this table gives us a huge amount of information. So when I'm trading, these lights will constantly be changing, and let's just see what's happening now. It looks like price is falling. So we just blow up the chart so we can see here that this is telling us right now everything is red, which is right. So the MACD is currently red. I mean, it's a bit rangy now. The trend zone is red. The 21's pointing strongly down. And that's also part of the secret sauce of this. I've coded in this table the angle of the 21. So if it's bright red, it means it's pointing down sharply. If it's a darker red, it's still pointing down, safe to trade, but not as sharp. So right now, this is telling us that this white line on the 1-minute is pointing down sharply. On the 3-minute, not as sharp. On the 5-minute, it's pointing down sharply. The 8-minute pointing down sharply. On the 15, still pointing slightly up. And so it's not completely bearish on every time frame, but that amount of red tells us that sells are probably safe to take. And so that table, I'm just going to hand back to Ty in a minute. That table tells us basically a whole lot of information. I believe that was the biggest game changer for our strategy. So you can just take one look, and if you've got a mixture of colors, so orange is between zones, then not safe to trade. So if you follow the trend, you follow this table, trading will be much easier. I mean, I'll show you other last two little things. I've got a minute left. Is that also what I've put in the code is that we can generate big round numbers. So big price always respects big round numbers. So with gold, numbers ending in 10 are always respected. So the indicator will just load that quickly. And we'll just have a look quickly at some price action. What I'll do is I'll just shrink our table so long back to normal size, large. Let's take back to normal. And so if you look at price action, you can see how price often just moves between. I was looking earlier today. So where was I looking earlier? I will only go back a few hours. But if you look, you can see how price always bounces around. Price went up, what stopped it there, big round number, broke through, retested, bounced up. Then it came, you can see how much here. Price tried to break through, move back up, but it bounced off, 3390. And then price fell, it came up again. Again, you can see price action. Big round numbers are very important in our strategy. So they generate automatically. And the last thing I'll just show you for fun is that also in the code, I've got trend lines. I also draw some of my own ones, but the indicator will also generate trend lines. They're also good for support and resistance. They'll pop up in a minute. And they're very good for telling you whether or not to take a trade. And so we'll go through the rules next week. I'll just really mention one and how we use the table. But basically, if you follow the rules, you can see here's a trend line. It's generating trend lines right now. So we can see here a trend line. And when price breaks below, it tends to fall. But we'll talk more about that another time. So I've gone through the basics, everything I wanted to cover. So Tom, I'm going to hand back to you. And then next Monday, we're going to talk more about the rules and the other bits of the strategy. But we just wanted to give you an overview just to show you roughly what it's about. And hopefully that made a lot of sense to you. So Ty, back to you. I'll unshare my screen.
Thank you. Guys, drop some love and appreciation in the chat for Dad. As you can see, there is a lot more than meets the eye to this man in front of you tonight. That is the lightest, most succinct overview I've ever seen. There is so much depth to this tool that you can use in so many different ways. You may have caught that. Obviously, we're using it zoomed in on a 1-minute chart, but you start zooming out, and like I talked to you about portfolio management, whether that's investments in gold or Bitcoin or whatever, you can start to know all sorts of different things and how you could utilize this tool. So, Dad, thanks again so much for your time this evening and for pouring so much into our community all the time, answering questions in our chat, planning fresh trainings every week, doing live analysis with us. I can see all I can see some guys on the cameras there going for it. Thanks. Good to see you, Les, Ellie, Elise, the team. So, everyone, I've got a couple quick things to share with you on how the heck you can get your hands on this, and then we'll wrap it up for this evening. Oh, there we go. I can see the chat blowing up, giving Dad some thanks. Very, very cool. All right, so let's get in here. Guys, I have been so fired up lately because I've heard back from so many of you in our team already. And so I had these slides rolling in the beginning before the Zoom. So if you joined a little late, you wouldn't have seen them. But I compiled some results and some feedback from our squad all over the world. And so I got a few of them here for you. So real people, real results. Amanda, she's here in Auckland with us. You know, she's had an 85% win rate in 1 month since becoming efficient with TrendForce. Was not doing so well before that. And then we've got Christopher over in Brunei. TrendForce creates a simple, scalable, and profitable approach to trading, even in volatile markets. We got Danny, like I showed earlier. After being down 50% in my first 18 months, I turned $4,000 into 13,000 plus in just 6 weeks. TrendForce changed everything. The disclaimer there, guys, is his results are his results because of his effort. You want those results, you got to put in the effort. So, you know, it took him some time. He had 18 months of grinding and trying different things, but it was definitely locking in with the rules that we have and even adding some extra ones. We'll share more of that later of how he's been able to do this, but it's very exciting, guys. So we got Elise, she's on the Zoom with us tonight. I finally feel I have all the help I need, and I know my questions will always be answered. We've got Jordash. I know you're on the Zoom as well, bro. Since using TrendForce, I see the markets with clarity and trade with way more confidence. We got Kat down in the Bay. It's not just a tool. It's a supportive, collaborative family where everyone wants to see each other grow. We've got Martin over in the Netherlands. TrendForce isn't just about tools. They focus just as much on mindset and trader growth. We got Nikki on the shore. The TrendForce system is incredible. I believe it is divinely inspired. I know Dad would agree with you for sure. We got Sean over in Ireland. It's a blessing to be supported by people who genuinely care and take action to help us grow. We got Selena in the Coromandel and Tairua. After 3 years of trying, TrendForce was the missing piece. Now I'm growing my capital consistently. That word right there, guys, consistently is what you want. Tim, you are on the Zoom. None of our branding would be here without you. From you and your rebrand team, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Tim was a part of helping us brand and pull together the story and everything that you see in terms of how we've landed with TrendForce and everything that looks great about it. And so in working with us in branding, Tim got his eyes on something that he wanted to get a part of. So when he joined, he was an absolute newbie, but in his words, feels so lucky and privileged to be involved. You won't regret joining. Tim, so grateful for you and everything you've done for us. We got Wayne down in Wanaka. I've been here since the beginning, and this is a true community, not just random people trying to trade. Love it, Wayne. Thank you so much. Vickers, I know you're on here, bro. TrendForce is game changer. It forces you to follow rules and eliminates guessing. That is hugely key. And Zeph, I know you're also on here tonight. Before this, trading felt out of reach. Now I feel confident, and I've never seen mentorship like this, bro. So appreciate all of you guys. Thanks so much for dropping that feedback to me recently so I could do that. It lights Dad and I up so much to hear how you guys are doing. At the same time, I know the reality is that not everyone does well at the same time. There are seasons to trading. There are seasons in the way you manage your emotions and your mindset. And so depending on where you are in the journey, you saw there, it took 18 months, 2 years, 3 years for some people to click. But the main thing that you need is you need structure, you need rules, and you need support. And that is what we're here to give you. So we've got a system, we've got it all in place, and we truly believe that it is really starting to click for those that we've been working with over the last few months. So I can see things are lighting up in the chat right there. So cool. Patience equals pips. That's right, Vickers. That is one of Dad's absolute key lines right there. So guys, one more thing. I am going to show you back onto that screen share. Are you ready for this? Here's our website, guys. So this launched just a few hours ago. It is live. It is ready. You can go to trendforce.co and go and check it out. And so obviously, if you're already in the team, you already got access. You're on the inside. But if you're not and you're a guest with us, go take a look. And so you got two main things here. You can get free access to our basics course, which is going to take you through 4 videos, 20 minutes each. There's a 64-page PDF. You can go check in your name and your email address there and dive into that straight away. That is a piece of cake. That is for any of you that want to go and start your learning journey, but right now, money's either a barrier or belief is. And you just want to go and get your feet wet and see what's what. On the other side, if you're good to go, you've seen enough, you're just like, give me this tool now, which is kind of how most people spoke to us after our first letting our squad know what's up, then you can click on the join now button and you'll see exactly what's up. And so right here, you can check in your info. You'll see what you get access to. So private access to our indicators, which Dad has been showing you tonight, which we are constantly updating. And you're able to use those inside your own TradingView account 24/7. So they are yours to use once you obviously are part of the community. We share them with you inside there. They are privately linked to your username. And we've got a guide to show you how to set all that up once you get started. We do weekly Zooms with live training and Q&A every Tuesday night inside the school terms. And so you can join us live for those. All the recordings I have up on YouTube for our team within a few hours of them concluding for our international family. We do weekly live market analysis calls Friday mornings. Our Friday mornings are amazing. We're on live together. Dad or myself are breaking down the charts in real time, talking you through which signals to ignore, which ones to pay attention to. Then our private group chat as well. Guys, the Q&A in there day to day is amazing. If Dad and I aren't answering, if we're too slow, if we take 30 minutes to an hour to respond, odds are someone in the team has already responded. So really cool environment. There's already close to about almost 100 of us in there being able to answer questions that have already been doing this together for a long time. Beginner accelerator course, like I said, we've got that course available. It is obviously part of the package as well in case you are starting from scratch. So guys, super easy to get started. Name and details. This is US dollars right here. So I can tell you right now that it is 200 New Zealand dollars to sign up. That covers your first month and you're in. Then it's 130 New Zealand dollars per month after the fact, which is insane. I was paying 400 a month most of my education life learning these things and paid thousands to travel the world to get into rooms and meet educators and learn. So this is insane. You can also, if you want to, go annually, and that way you'll actually save on that difference on that enrollment price and it chops off an entire month. So there's that option there as well. But yeah, guys, piece of cake, easy to get signed up. If you want to get a part of that, this is what the journey looks like. So our plan, usually we are live every Tuesday night, like I said, inside the school term. Next week, Dad's on a plane to Australia, so we will do Monday night next week. So if you get started inside the next few days, you can join us Monday night next week and we will be launching. We'll make sure you've got everything you need, a full playlist of videos. Aside from those 4 foundational videos, we have a few more that practically show you exactly how to do what, how to set up TradingView, how the tools work, how to get them working on your side. And then we've got some methodical training, which we do live, and some that are already recorded to help you get up to speed as fast as possible. So you can start pushing the button and actually growing that fake money first and then move on to the real money. So guys, it's getting close to 9 o'clock. So cool to have such a full house. So good to have you all in here. I want to do something. You do not have to turn on your camera if you're not ready for it. I want to change this view to gallery for a second and get you to wave at me because this is super fun. To have this many of you on here, guys, this is stacked. Thank you so much for being a part of this family. I know some of you have been with us for ages, tracking with us for years, traveling around the world together. There we go. It's so cool to see some of your faces, not just my own staring at me. I got to stare at a black circle on the camera. So cool to see you guys. Thanks for being with us live this evening. This is your story. That is what matters. That's why I wanted to do this. I wanted to give you a chance to get on here because, guys, it is such a privilege to be able to hear the stories and to work with you guys and see the transformation, to see the journeys, to see you guys not just making money. Like, you know, Danny's story is amazing, but really the growth that you will experience, growing in discipline, growing in patience. I don't know about you, but as a parent, I need way more of that in my life. And so going on this learning journey overflows far more than learning the skills of trading. So guys, I want to say once again, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Absolutely fired up and excited for what's in front of us. And I'm just stoked that we've finally gotten to this point where we can open the doors and say, if you're keen to learn and earn, then come and join us. It is fun. It is family. We're going to be doing another live event in person soon in Auckland. We'll let you know dates about that as well. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being with us here live or for watching this later, wherever you found this recording. Welcome to the TrendForce family. It is an absolute privilege to be on this journey with you. And with that, guys, we'll wrap up the night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the inside. Good night, everyone.